Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. In this video we're going to be looking at 10 of the hardest games you'll find on the Evercade, in my opinion. Let's go. Okay guys, let's start with Xeno Crisis, which is actually one of the best games you'll find on Evercade, but it is also one of the hardest games you'll find on the Evercade. And one thing that Blaze has got right here is this cart and this game in particular, they've absolutely nailed the controls, and the fact getting this on Evercade has been brilliant. Hopefully we'll see more of this type of thing, because this is an absolute top game. But it is definitely renowned as being one of the hardest games you'll find on the Evercade. It generally actually starts off reasonably well. It sort of eases you in, you can get used to the controls, and it's reasonably okay, but it does get ferocious the more enemies that appear, and then you get the sort of end of the level bosses, which can be really tough to sort of avoid not dying continuously. But wow, what a top drawer game, but it is unbelievably tough. And the further you get into the game, it just gets harder and harder and harder. And it doesn't make it much better having a second player. I think just sometimes you just get in each other's way. I'm not really sure it makes it any easier, to be honest. And the enemies take more to get killed. They keep coming, they're ferocious. You die a lot. It's hard as nails, basically. Now you could possibly cheat and use the cheap method there, but you will never see the proper ending if you do. So I don't recommend it, but you know, if you want to see more of the game, sometimes you just have to. If you're lucky enough to get to one of the bosses, you'll discover that they are pretty hard. You've got a lot of things to avoid, more enemies, fire. You can use all your grenades, maybe try and make it look easier, but jeez, it's hard. You need to try and stay alive and kill the beast. Oh, great game, but wow, it is hard. If you have completed this game without cheating, amazing, well done you. The next game we're going to play, guys, is Tanzer, which, funny enough, is also one of the best games you'll play on the Evercade, but at the same time, it's still one of the toughest games you'll find to actually play. Great game, but yeah, much like Xeno Crisis, it's hard as nails. Interestingly, I would have said this game could easily have been much like Tanglewood and Xeno Crisis, and been on a cart all by its own or in a dual pack. This game is really such a great game, but interestingly, it's on the Mega Cat Collection 1, and there's tons of games on that collection. There is actually 10 games on that collection. One of the best value collections you can probably get. So it's kind of a scrolling sort of slash 'em up, much like, I guess, Strider or something like that. And it's amazing. Looks great. Technically on the Mega Drive, this must absolutely fantastic. But it is very hard. You've got 3 hits you can have, but no, it doesn't last long. The enemies just keep coming ferocious. It's pretty thick and fast. It's hard. It's very hard. And then, just much like Xeno Crisis, once you hit the bosses, it becomes even tougher. You definitely just need to learn them. You get power-ups to sort of help you a little bit, and it does make a little bit of difference. But at the same time, it's still an amazing challenge. It's very difficult. I find it's probably better to try and take your time through the levels and not sort of rush it, so to speak, and it kind of helps your progress a little bit. So guys, then you get your end of levels. There's lots of end of level bosses in the game, but there are certain ways to sort of try and defeat them, so to speak. You sort of get away with it. This is a strange end of level boss, but it's possible by hiding in certain parts of the level you can get away with it. Just keep firing and you'll eventually do it, but it is still very tough. As you can see, it's possible, but very hard. Love the game, absolutely love it, but those bosses are definitely a killer. But there's a sweet spot for most of them, you just have to find it. Okay guys, going to switch up a little bit to one of the more recent games from the Technos Arcade 1 cart. This is Battle Lane Volume 5, and it's a very difficult game to play. Let's have a look at it. Now obviously it's an arcade game. Arcade games are generally coin guzzlers, so they are going to be really tough. So you have to be aware of that. But even saying that, this is just absolutely ridiculous. It seems like it would be a really fun game, but I just think the difficult level is just a little bit crazy. You're on a bike, you can shoot, but you can hardly see the enemy fire. I can hardly see my own fire. I can't really see a thing. You touch anything, you die. You can barely see a thing. And that's what makes this game really, really tough. In it, you die instantly as well. You touch anything. Like, I can barely see... Oh, there I died again. I can barely see the fire coming out of my sort of motorbike there, but... don't know. Maybe on a bigger screen it may be a little bit easier to see, but you definitely die loads. I actually found sometimes it's actually better just to avoid the enemies rather than try and actually kill them. Well, you can just about see the fire, but again, I'm only playing into this game 10 seconds and already it's game over, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And I've not made much progress with this game. It is unbelievably hard. And it looks like it would actually be good fun. Maybe if you had sort of a health bar or a health cage or something, it might make the game a little bit more bearable. But as it stands, it's just absolutely horrific, and it's not one I'm going to try and spend a lot of time trying to get better at, because it's just incredibly frustrating. Ugh. Very hard. Okay, we're going to have a look at another arcade game that's pretty tough. As much as I really like this game, Thunderhoop, it is really, really tough as heck. Now you can keep just adding coins and continuing, but you can die at the very slightest touch of an enemy and you die all the time, instantly. It's frustrating as heck and extremely tough, but it is still a really decent game, to be fair. I guess it's some sort of experiment with Thunderhoop. He looks like a strange dude, doesn't he? Let's go. As much as I really love Thunderhoop, it is so frustrating. You can see you can die with the touch of those sort of hot drips that are falling down. Enemies do suddenly appear out of the middle of nowhere. This is right at the very beginning of the game. You see the enemies appear out of nowhere. You'll most likely die quite a lot of times until you actually get used to what's actually coming next. And it's very tough. This is the first level, which isn't too bad, but it gets ridiculous as you go further into the game. You'll find yourself dying constantly. Now, obviously, you're on the Evercade, you've got your save state, so that definitely helps, but it's still a very, very tough game. Enemies just appear out of nowhere to basically kill you on one touch, and it's tough. Really, really tough. See about these spawning enemies all the time as you're making progress. I think that's deliberate, obviously. Oh, annoying though. Oh my goodness me. I think I'll just get out of this bit quickly before I die. No, I won't! Right, so these guys probably best jumping on their heads. No, I'm not walking onto them. Oh my goodness. How badly did I mistime that? I think I just found the sweet spot. Well, finally defeated that guy after many goes. So that's zone 1 complete, but that is tough. Really tough. Okay, we're going to look at California games next, which is really tough. This is the Lynx version. Let's go. Now, this game has appeared on many formats over the years. Never really been that keen on it, to be honest, but I know some people do like it. But this game is ferociously tough. Now, the hardest parts are probably half pipe, trying to sort of learn how to actually do it. It took me a long time to even get half decent at it, and I'm still not even remembering how to actually do it properly. You need to press up and down or at the right time, and if you don't, you're just basically going to do absolutely nothing. As you can see, I'm doing absolutely nothing. So, if I recall, you have to press down when you're going down, up down, up, down, up, down. Oh, I get totally mixed up. Press the wrong button. Stunt too late. It is ferociously hard. Press down, then press up. 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 Down. Up. Oh, I get so frustrated. It is hard as nails to actually get right and even get into the stunts. Once you do nail it, it's actually not bad, but it takes you a long time to figure out the timing of when you can actually press the button at the right time. And it's one of these games that's going to take you maybe even years to even perfect, and maybe you'll never perfect it. The surfing is pretty much a little bit easier, but you definitely need to know what to do. Take your time. You need to get some twists and turns. You can press the A button to try and get a swifter turn like that, but you wipe out quite a lot. In general, this game is just pretty tricky to get used to. With practice, I guess, just like a lot of other games, you might get pretty good at it. But it's a tough game to master, there's no doubt about it. Very stylish game, I guess. But even though I've mastered some of the aspects of the game, I still don't particularly enjoy playing it. Yay, a double. Haha, got the timing all wrong. Okay guys, next game we're going to look at is the Chaos Engine from the Bitmap Brothers collection. Now, another top game, but it is really difficult, and we sort of need to remember, if there was no save states on this, you would really struggle with this game. There's no doubt this is a top game. I believe this is the SNES version. I had the Mega Drive version many years ago, and I never really got very far because it is very difficult. Obviously, on the Mega Drive you didn't have save states, you just had to put up with the original 3 lives or continues whatever you got, and it's hard, very hard. There's no doubt it's a really cool game. It looks fantastic, plays great on the Evercade, and you obviously can play 2 players as well, but as you go on you die you die a lot. The enemies just keep on coming and it's hard. I just find myself dying constantly, having to reload save states and stuff, and it gets really frustrating. But I think you keep playing on because it is such a really cool game. You see the enemies just appear and jump at you from nowhere, you barely see them, then you die back to normal again. But you know, it's such a good game. Also, the further you go into the game, the harder it does become. But you know, it's such a stylish game, it looks fantastic. You will probably try and persevere to sort of finish the game, but you die so many times, it is unbelievably difficult. And I find this difficult back on the Mega Drive. I think the SNES version is probably the better version that we have here, but it's still very difficult. The enemies just keep appearing out of nowhere and you just really feel as if you've got absolutely no chance. You kind of had to shoot at a lot of enemies that are off screen to try and have any chance. Okay, that's kind of like a save point, and I died again. This happens quite a lot and it's kind of frustrating, but I do like the game. It just frustrates the heck out of me. So next up guys, it's Astyanax on the Jellicle Collection 1, which is a NES port of arcade game, which it's not bad, but it's hard as heck. I kind of really wanted to like this game, but I just find it really annoying. I think the annoying part is the endless spawning enemies, which is one of my pet hates in any game. Now you see it in many games, even modern games, sort of recent games such as like some of the Tomb Raider games on the Xbox One, for instance. The enemies just keep spawning until you hit a certain point. It's just unbelievably frustrating. There's no need for it, it's just silly. It's really quite poor programming for me, but this one is pretty much the same. You've got jump and slash, but it doesn't matter if you kill the enemies, they just keep on coming. You may as well just ignoring the enemies, to be honest, and just make your way through the actual game. And I just find it extremely frustrating. You can see there's a flying sort of thing across the screen. It doesn't matter, you kill it, another one will appear, it's pointless, as well just ignoring it. And the same happens with pretty much all the enemies, and like you try and jump here, you can't because there's enemies, and it just becomes a frustrating mess. Now, it just might just be me, I'm just probably crap at this game, but there's no doubt it's got a lot of frustrating elements, and it's got some glitchy graphics. I don't know, it looks nice enough, but that NES glitching really is quite apparent. There's too many sprites on the screen at the one time, the sort of graphics are glitching like crazy. I just feel as if I've absolutely no chance. I want to just crumble and die. And yeah, pretty much am. Okay guys, moving back to Atari Lynx Collection 1, and this is Jimmy Connor's Tennis. Now this game also features on my 10 worst games on the Evercade, because it's an absolutely terrible game, and one of the reasons why it's so difficult, because you can't hit the bloody ball. Let's have a look. So here we go, game of classic tennis, which, you know, okay, you can hit the ball at the serve, but try and hit the ball at any other time. Oh, here we go. Don't know where it is. Don't know where it's landing. Can't hit it. Point to the other player. It's not the worst game. I know it's an Atari Lynx game. It's kind of blocky, I guess. But, you know, it's not the worst looking game. It's just really... it's just really hard to even hit the ball. And there's just absolutely zero fun from it. I guess if you practice enough, you know, geez, I've missed the serve. If you practice enough, just like most games, you'll probably become reasonable at it. But I can't even do a serve. It's horribly difficult. It's just a horrible, horrible game in general. Well, let's see if we can try and hit one back. Come on, I can do it. I can do it. Yes, I can do it. I'm the man. Oh, I did twice. I'm now an expert. Oh no, oh no. Oh jeez, no, I'm done. Okay, next on the list, The Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy. Now, I really love Dizzy. I'm a huge fan. I love this cart. I played all of them, completed all of them, apart from this one. I cannot finish it. It's so damn hard. It's so obscure. I just didn't enjoy this particular version of Dizzy, and I just don't like it at all. Let's have a quick look at it. Nope, it ain't absolutely brilliant. Usually it is. So it's usual stuff, you need to rescue Daisy or something. It starts easy enough, and this one has a health bar which is just unbelievably annoying. And you've got stars to collect as well through the game. Now that's all fair enough. You've got some... You can obviously eat some fruit to replenish your health, which is fine, you know, everyone's fine, but I just find the game pretty obscure. Some of the collectibles, not really sure what the items do. It's very obscure. And generally the games can be quite obscure, but I just find this one is the hardest to actually sort of master and complete, and found it really tough. Obviously you got your items pick up, you can carry 3 at the one time, which makes it even more frustrating, but again that's nothing new to Dizzy games. Wow, NES controller. This isn't the worst version at all, to be honest. It's okay. It does suffer from the usual sort of NES flickering, but as you go through the game you've got the spiders and stuff appear, you've got these keys. It's not clear where you're supposed to go, what the keys do, what the items do. It's a lot of endless sort of wandering. I guess that's what Dizzy games are all about, but I just felt this one was probably one of the toughest and most annoying to actually play. And the further you get into the game, the worse it becomes. You just get frustrated. There are certain sections which become really annoying, and that NES flickering is just horrible in this game. Really horrible. Don't know what the heck that is I've picked up. No idea. The map, this game is probably pretty large, and you do get a little bit lost and frustrated where you're supposed to go. And that taking that endless damage, I just think that's one of the most frustrating parts of the Dizzy games. I don't think you really need to that. There was very few games done this, but this one, and it was quite annoying. So this is a little bit later in the game, but again, you look at the enemies, you can barely see that ant scrolling across the screen on the bottom. It's hidden by the background, and that becomes really frustrating, especially when you're running low in health. Through the game, you just get frustrated, and I've just jumped onto a screen and the ant was there and I died already. This game is filled with loads of things like that. It really frustrates me, and I just found no fun from this, which is a shame because I really love Dizzy games, but this one didn't do it for me. And this is the only one I've not bothered to complete because I just got too frustrated, and just the enjoyment was away. Once you stop enjoying a game, I just have to stop. Okay guys, last game on the list is Tinhead, which is a fairly newish Mega Drive 16-bit platform game, which I kind of eventually enjoyed and finished a couple of times, but it is a very, very tough, frustrating game, and I think if you were sort of using save states, you would probably get extremely frustrated. Those save states do help, but if you think about playing this originally on the Mega Drive, you would probably chuck your controller off a wall. There's no doubt Tinhead has got a lot going from it. It does look really good, it's got a nice sort of style, good story, but some of the game mechanics are a bit frustrating. The fact that enemies can basically jump out of middle of nowhere and sort of touch you and kill you is just unbelievably frustrating. If you've never played it, you could have a bash and see what you think yourself. I just find it really frustrating, but I think I've played it so much due to the Facebook group's high score challenge, and I ended up kind of liking it a little bit. But there's no doubt it is a very, very frustrating game. You basically hit enemies at all points, you just all sorts of drips and things that can sort of take health bar from you, and it just becomes a bit of a frustrating game to actually play through. But no, the early levels are not actually that bad. Once you get into later levels, that's when things get really, really annoying. It's such a shame because there's a lot going for this game. It's just really, really frustrating to actually play. There's so many ways you can probably die through this game, and you do, unfortunately. Okay guys, thanks for watching the video. Let me know what other games you think are hard on the Evercade. There's plenty more I probably haven't covered, like Darwin 4078, Night Driver, Midnight Resistance, Earthworm Jim, some really tough games that can be frustrating to play. But anyway, that's 10 I've picked. I'm sure there's plenty more out there. Guys, please like, subscribe, catch you again next time. Bye for now.